Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live. It is Friday, July 7th here in Australia and July the 6th for those of you on the other side of the world. Welcome to today's live. The sun is shining here. It's freezing, but the sun is shining, which is really, really nice. I've still got the heater going because we are in the middle of winter here, but I hope that wherever you are safe and well. I'm just going to give the live feed time to filter through because I know it takes a little while for people to know that I'm here. But if you are just joining, as always, please feel free to say hi to me. I always love to know who's listening out there and where you're listening from. And I've had, lots of people reach out to me this week for various reasons, stuck with very different things. So, if you've just found me or found my work, maybe you've just bought my ebook, or maybe you've listened to my podcast, or maybe you've even just joined my Relatable program. And I know some people have joined this week, which is fantastic. I always love welcoming new people to our Relatable family. Wherever you are, thank you so much for being here. And as always, if you have a question, post it in the comments below and I will do my absolute best to answer that for you. No question is too big or too small. And your questions are always, I can guarantee you, a question that someone else is thinking or will be related to something else that someone else is going through. Okay, so I am currently live on YouTube and Facebook. Still a bit of a newcomer to YouTube, can you believe that? So I tend to have most of my viewers here on Facebook, but if you're on YouTube, give me a shout out and let me know because I have no idea if anyone watches me on YouTube or not. Feel free to say hi, let me know where you're listening from. And if you have a question, post it below. Hi, Rose. Thanks so much for saying hi, honey. Nice to see you. I hope it's nice and sunny over there for you in California. And for anyone else, okay, I'm not sure why someone just put an angry face up. That's interesting. Any reason why I've just been sent an angry face? Feel free to let me know why you're angry. You're camping in the front yard tonight. Wow. Okay, cool. Okay, nice. Have you got your granddaughter with you? Because I'm sure she'd love it if you're camping together in the front yard. That'd be pretty cool. Anyone else out there want to say hi? Let me know. I will start reading out a couple of questions that have been sent in to me in just a moment. But if you have a question, oh, cute. That's so cute. If you do have a question, let me know. Hi, Christy from Northern California. Okay, watching on Facebook. Okay, cool. Thanks, Christy. Thanks so much for saying hi and letting me know where you're watching from. Lisa, you're listening from Wellington. Cold but no wind here. Yeah, that's the wind is what makes everything. It just takes it all to another level. We had very high winds here, and they were like ice yesterday. The wind really does take it to another level. Hey, Leonie. Oh, that was you with the angry face. Oh, that's okay. Just checking in case there's something I've done or said or, hi from sunny. Yeah, thanks, Leonie. Sunny Central Queensland. Yeah. Anyone who lives in Queensland, it's just, there's a bit of a myth here in Australia that people think we're this really hot country. We're not. In terms of when it's winter, it's winter. It's not as like sub-zero temperatures like some of you guys get over there, but it's cold here in winter unless you live in Queensland. Anyone who lives in Queensland, so north, has sunshine most of the year round. So us Victorians, which is where I'm from, we're always kind of trying to head up to Queensland whenever it gets cold. Yeah, okay. Oh, hi, Jen. Hey, Jen, nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi. Hi, Kay. Lovely to see you as well. Thanks so much for saying hi. Okay, everybody. Do appreciate it when people say hi to me. All right, so I'm going to go to a couple of the questions that have been sent in to me. And as always, there'll be things that come through as I'm sharing whatever's come up in the Q&As with my Relatable students or my private clients. There's always things that that we all have in common because we're all connected, whether we know it or not. I was just actually on a chat with a client of mine in Perth just before I came on to the call today. And, she was talking about how much she can see, how much our humanness, right? The sameness that is amongst us all, and how that has made it so much easier for her to show up differently to her husband and her in-laws and people at work. And she doesn't take anything anywhere near as personally, and her head is slowed down and she feels calmer and she's better able to let things go. This is truly a beautiful place to live your life from. And it is very calming when you see the sameness. in our innate humanness. We're all innately human. We all create our reality the same way. Our minds all work the same way. So the inner workings of our mind are the same. We may express ourselves differently, but the way our minds work, and when you understand the way the mind works, we stop fighting against our reality. We stop fighting against our experience, and we find everything. We actually move through our experience with a lot more ease. And so instead of your life being about, I don't want this experience, I want a different one, it becomes about the amount of ease you experience irrespective of the experience itself. Now, this is very, very, very important when it comes to our relationships. I mean, it's important in every area of our life, right? But, I'm certainly really talking about this in terms of our relationships and how we show up to them and how we communicate, how we connect, how we create goodwill, all of those things that are the foundation of great relationships, the foundation of well-being. And so that leads me into a couple of questions that have come my way. And I'm going to read those out. Rose and Christy are getting to know each other here on the chat, which I love. I love that. So you guys continue to do that. And I'm going to come to some of the questions that have been sent in to me. And as always, if there is a question you want me to ask, you want me to answer, just post it in the comments below and I will do my best to do that. Okay. Hi, Fiona. I've just recently purchased your ebook and I've been watching your Friday lives. I find them so helpful. Thank you so much for doing this every week. I don't always get to show up live, but I always watch the recordings. Okay, cool. Thank you. On a Friday live a few weeks ago, you were talking about being comfortable in your own skin. This really struck a chord with me because I know that I have never truly been comfortable in my own skin. And I know that means I get defensive, I react, and I take things personally. All the things that you talk about, I so don't want to do that anymore. I want to show up in that calm, grounded way that just sounds so attractive to me, but I don't know where to begin. How do I feel comfortable in my own skin? Great question. Fantastic question. I love this question. Really, really important question because the more comfortable you are in your own skin, and I was actually talking about this with a client in the UK yesterday as well. You stop apologizing for yourself. You actually get to own where you are. You own who you are. So you stop defending. You stop trying to prove. You stop hiding, and you stop apologizing for yourself. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean that you go through life in a way that's disregarding of anybody else, but it means you take things less personally. You're really comfortable in your own skin, so you don't have to defend yourself. You don't have anything to prove. Can you imagine? Just think about this in a relationship. How many times in an argument, when there is a difference of opinion with someone, you feel that you've got to get your point across? And you might feel it's really, really important for that person to understand your point of view. You need to understand how I feel. Do they? See, when you're comfortable in your own skin, that stops being the thing that drives you. You need to know. You need to understand. You need to this. You need to that. You stop showing up from that place. You become less combative. Okay. Now, relationships break down because people don't know how to navigate their insecurities or their frailties. Everybody's got them. Okay. So I'm not picking on you when I say that. I've got insecurities and frailties. This is innately part of our humanness. Right. But when you know how to navigate them well, and one of the keys to that is being comfortable in your own skin. Now, I don't need to get rid of every frailty of mine to be comfortable in my own skin, because that's not setting myself up for success, because my frailties aren't going anywhere. That's not the end game, is to not have frailties, because that's actually not possible. Whilst ever you have an ego, and we all have an ego, you will always have frailties, okay? Always. That's the nature of the ego. The ego will tell you didn't do that well enough. You could have done that better. The ego will tell you that you're wrong. The ego will tell you that you're better than somebody else. The ego will tell you that, do you know what I mean? The ego will create a sense of arrogance. That's what the ego does. So we are, we're subject to this at times, and that's where our frailties lie. And your ego is not going anywhere. So everybody's got them. And it doesn't, this is why I love talking about relationships so much, because you spend enough time with someone, you're going to come up against their frailties, and they're going to come up against yours. Right? It's inevitable. Yet this is where things fall apart. Okay? We take each other's frailties personally. We get very defensive. We become combative. And then from there, we get caught in our ego. We either shut down or get reactionary. Goodwill drops. And then people find themselves walking on eggshells. People find themselves overthinking everything. People find themselves trying to control other people. I was actually just on a call with a lady in the UK this morning, and she's just met this wonderful man, and she's in love, and she's been swept off her feet. And she said to me, Fiona, he's amazing. She said, but he's really different to anyone I've ever gone out with before. He has, he's got lots of different things he's done in his life, whereas she's done the one thing for a very long time and she's very successful and very good at it, or he's dabbled in lots of things. She said, I think what I'm going to do is, as we're getting to know each other, I'm just going to help him really focus on that one thing. And I went, whoa, stop. The minute you decide, oh, I love this, but I just need you to be more of that. I just need you to do less of this. I just think you need to focus here. I just think. The minute you get caught up in that is when that relationship starts to go down. Okay? And I said to her, you have to love him just the way he is. Right? The minute you say, I love him and I'm just going to tweak this and right? That's when our ego gets involved. That's when everything starts to go downhill. Now, I said to her, and I'm coming back to your question about being comfortable in your own skin. And I said to her, how come you think that he needs to focus on something or change? Or she goes, my God, Fiona, you're right. I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable with where he's at. I'm uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable about this. I went, there you go. She goes, that's on me. I went, yes, that's on you. Okay. When you become uncomfortable, don't look outside to change someone else so you can become comfortable. That I'm telling you, destroys relationships. Okay. It really does. Now, she's obviously doing my relatable program. We're doing some sessions. And so, she knows where to look for the answer. She knows where to look in a way that she's not now projecting that out. But these are the things that we innocently do. So in order to become comfortable in your own skin, okay, you have to be comfortable with your frailties. You have to be comfortable with your insecurities. Most people are not comfortable with their frailties. They're hiding from them. They're frightened by them. They're overwhelmed. They're judging them. They're making themselves wrong. And so they're either running away from them or trying to prove themselves. Okay? Now, when you do that, it's hard for you to connect with somebody else. You take things personally. You talk over the top of people. You think people need to know how you feel. You feel that it's really important to just say whatever's on your mind. You're not very present and you're not very grounded. Now, being comfortable in your own skin is not about eradicating your frailties. You can't do that, right? It's about being at ease with where you are. It's about owning it. And so, for example, if you are someone, and this is the most common thing I see in relationships, okay? And I know some of you have heard me say this before, but people are surprised by this. So the most common dynamic in a relationship is someone who's probably more strong-minded, more strong-willed, more likely to communicate, more expressive, and someone who is more of a processor, quieter, more, even-keeled, perhaps you could say, right? So you have people who have, big highs and low lows, and then you have people who, so life might look a bit like this for them, and then you have people where life looks a bit like this. This is the most common partnership out there. I see this in 99% of people, right? And people think that people don't realize that that's the most common dynamic out there. That's the most common partnership. So what's really interesting is if you are in a relationship like that, and let's just say you're the more even-keeled person in that relationship. If you are not comfortable in your own skin, meaning if you don't own where you are, and you think that there's something wrong with you being more even-keeled, for example, and there are definitely people who do, then what's going to happen is this person's going to become more dominating and more reactionary. Okay? Because that's kind of the energetic exchange that starts happening. This person becomes more dominating and more reactionary, and this person starts apologizing for themselves. So one of the things that happens if you're in a relationship with someone who's more even keeled and you're more of the communicator, one of the things where there becomes a problem is when there is when this person's frailties are on display or you're in your frailties, this person wants to talk about it, right? Let's talk, let's get it out, let's work it out. And of course, the person who's more of a processor is like, give me a little bit of time. I just need to think about it. And this person's, why? What's there to think about? You don't even want to talk to me. Just talk to me. This person then starts to panic. Oh God, I better say something. What am I going to say? And then they get overwhelmed. I've got to say something. So they say something out of fear because they have to. And the other person says, really? Is that it? Is that all you've got to say? Oh, really? That's it. I'm feeling like this. I'm pouring my heart out to you. I'm sharing everything with you. And that's all you've got to say. Really? And this person then doubts themselves even more. Okay. Now, in this dynamic, this person gets more and more worked up, and this person who's more of the processor, okay, gets more and more shut down. And this is when you start to see goodwill go down the tubes. And this person who's communicating gets really frustrated. Why won't you talk to me? Why won't you speak your truth? I hear that a lot. They just need to speak their truth. And I'm like, you don't realize when you are being really full on, there's no safe space for this person to speak their truth, right? Now, if you are in that dynamic and you're apologizing for yourself, I'm sorry, let me, and you're being a bit like this, and sometimes these people can get like that, okay? You're not comfortable in your own skin. So that's someone who's not comfortable in their own skin, okay, in that dynamic. Now, if you are comfortable in your own skin, this is an example of how you would show up to that differently, which would have a huge effect on that dynamic. This person, instead of apologizing and just getting frightened and just saying the first thing on their mind and feeling like they're making a mistake and they're not doing a great job, there's kind of some of the thoughts that go through that person. This person turns around and says, I need more time to process what you've said. Why do you need more time? I want to talk about this now. Because whatever I say now is not going to be what you need from me right now. In order for me to show up the way you need me to, you have to allow me time to get my thoughts together. Okay, so you're going to have to be patient. Now, can you see that this person is speaking with clarity and conviction and groundedness? This person is going to listen to that. Now, they may in the beginning go, what? But this, you hold your ground. You own where you are. You're not apologizing. It's like, this is where I'm at. I'll come back to you, but you need to be patient. Now, all of a sudden, what's happening is you've got people who are operating from a place of equality with each other. Okay? They're different, but they're operating from a place of equality. So instead of this person apologizing, feeling crushed and overwhelmed, and this person feeling angry because this person's just shutting down and you don't love me, if you love me, you talk to me and all that kind of jazz, all of a sudden there's this person's owning themselves. If you're comfortable in your own skin, you're not trying to convince this person of anything. You've got nothing to prove. You don't need to hide and you don't need to shut down. You just turn around and say, I'm not ready for that right now, but I'll come back to you. Now, if you're going to make a promise to come back to someone, you better do it. Okay? Don't say that you're going to come back to them and not come back to them. So can you see the difference in when you own where you are? It's actually very reassuring for this person who's maybe more reactionary and kind of pushing more to communicate. It's actually reassuring because they can feel the groundedness in you. Energetically, that's reassuring. Okay? Now, when you show up from that place, people eventually listen and they start to, it creates mutual respect, mutual regard, mutual understanding. All right. And this person actually calms down because this person who's reacting and getting upset and all of those things is not necessarily wanting to do that. But they're desperately looking to connect and they don't know how. And if you shut down, there's no connection. But when you're comfortable in your own skin, that's how quickly a dynamic like that can shift because you're owning where you are instead of apologizing for where you are. You're owning, this is how I work. This is what works for me. Not in a, I don't care about you selfish way, but in a very present way. This person's actually very present when they're speaking from that place versus the person who gets scared and shuts down and goes, okay, I don't know what to say. Oh my God. All right. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Let me just, right? That's not being present because what this person is present to is their own insecurities. What the other person who's owning where they are is present to is what this person needs and what works for them. Does that make sense? Let me just give me some feedback around this. This is why it's so important that you're comfortable in your own skin, because it will dramatically change the dynamic of any relationship and how you handle and show up to differences. It's absolutely life-changing. Hey, Sheila, nice to see you. That dynamic is called turtles and hailstorms in some contexts. Yes, probably is. I haven't heard that one before, but I can see where that may come from. So, yep, makes sense to Sheila. All right. Anybody else where this, if that makes sense to you? So you can see where the level of comfortability in where you are also then can make things a lot more lighter and playful, right? So let's flip that to the other person. Let's just say that you're the person who's kind of a bit, that was definitely me, and I can be like that still sometimes. Definitely nowhere near where I was, but I still have those, moments. And I can definitely be the one that wants to communicate more. My husband's more the processor, needs more time, likes to sit with things, etc. Okay, so I can definitely, in my relationship, I can be more like this, and I want to talk about it and all of that kind of jazz. Now, when I'm comfortable in my own skin, right? When I'm comfortable in my own skin, and believe me, I am so comfortable in my own skin these days. I completely own my frailties, meaning I can get upset, I can say something that's not great, I can whatever, and I'll just find it funny. I'm like, sometimes before I had this understanding in my life, for example, if my husband had said to me, "Babe, you're being a bit intense," because I was not comfortable in my own skin, I would react with, "What do you mean I'm being intense? Do you understand what I've gone through today? Do you know what I've had to deal with today? Do you know what I have done today? Have you got any idea? I don't think you've got any idea what my life is like." Blah, blah, blah. So defensive, trying to prove, justifying, self-righteous. That's the place you go to when you're not comfortable in your own skin. Now, because I'm comfortable in my own skin, if my husband said something like that to me, I'd go, "Am I? Yeah, you're probably right, babe. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm being a bit intense." And I'll laugh about it. And it becomes a joke because I don't care, right? And so instead of me defending and getting upset and projecting that out, it becomes this lighthearted moment between the two of us where there's lots and lots and lots of goodwill. Okay. Why? Because I am comfortable in my own skin. I know my frailties and I know I can go there at times, right? I do know that. Doesn't mean that I don't care and I can do whatever I want. It means that because I understand that about myself, it's easy for me to get over myself, and it's easy for me to apologize. I could never apologize before. I could never get over myself because I was not comfortable in my own skin. So I'd get stuck on my high horse and I'd be up there for days. And then I would just keep going over and over and over the situation, only ever from my point of view, by the way. And I always looked right. My husband always looked wrong, well, most of the time. And so I would just keep justifying myself. Now, I thought that was because there was a problem in our relationship, but it's because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. Okay. You've got to understand, guys, it always starts with you. And I'm not saying that someone else's behavior is your fault. Okay. But what I am saying is the level of comfortability in your skin has a really big impact on how you show up. And how you show up has a really big impact on the other person and the people around you. It's really extraordinary when you see it, when you see the energetic exchange that happens. Okay? As your energy changes, so does the energy from the other person. We're always engaging energetically before we are physically. Always. And we're actually doing that with everything. I was sharing this with a client earlier. My daughter was exercising her horse in a round yard earlier this week, and she had no gear on the horse. So the horse had nothing on. It was naked, meaning no halter, no bridle, no nothing. And she was just working it in the round yard. And she sent me a video and she said, "Watch this, Mum." And all she was doing was lifting her energy, just lifting her shoulders. As soon as she lifted her energy, the horse trotted. As soon as she dropped her shoulders, the horse walked. That's how in tune they were. And when it was time for her horse, she wanted the horse to come into her, she just pointed at the horse's rump and the horse knew and came in because they were that in tune, because that was the energetic exchange. And I watched that video and I thought, I wish everyone could see this, because this is what we're doing with each other all the time. We just don't know it. So if you're uncomfortable in your own skin, you will put that energy out and everyone around you will be more defensive and on guard. It's just the way it works. And so you're more likely to have arguments. You're more likely to feel like that you are in a completely different planet with someone, right? You're more likely to misread things. You will find that communication will break down very quickly. Versus when you're comfortable in your own skin, you've got more patience. There's more understanding. You have more bandwidth because you're not overthinking everything. You're calmer, clearer, less in your ego. These are all very, 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 very good things for our relationships. So this has been a really great question. So in order to be comfortable in your own skin, you have to be comfortable with your frailties. Now, a great way to get comfortable with your frailties is just understanding how human beings work, right? Once you have that understanding, you realize I don't need to eradicate them. I don't need to fix them or change them. I just need to navigate them differently. That is far, far easier than trying to fix, change, manage. That's exhausting and never ends. And I did that for years. And it never changed anything for me until I started to learn how the mind works, just the nature of innate humanness, just how people work, right? And all of a sudden, things started to make sense. And as things made sense, my level of comfortability with myself increased enormously. So the more comfortable you are in your own skin, the easier everything is. And obviously, in particular, our relationships, the level of connection, how we move forward, how well we get over things, all of it. It's amazing. Hey, Euros, hello, welcome. Greetings from Mackay, Queensland. I bet it's nice and warm and sunny up there in Mackay. Beautiful part of the world. If anyone ever wants to go to the Great Barrier Reef, Mackay is a great place to be able to visit our beautiful reef from. Hey, Sheila, that's a great metaphor. Thanks, honey. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Happy if anybody wants to give me some feedback on what I'm saying. If you've got any questions, just post them below. If this is resonating, let me know. You can send me a thumbs up or anything at all. I'd really appreciate it. Press the like button if this is making sense to you. If you want to just give me some feedback that way, that really helps me see that I'm on the right track. $1 million question, how do people work? Great question, Liz. Well, I cannot answer that in a 5-minute live, a 20-minute live, a 40-minute live. I just can't. It's not like it just takes time to understand that, right? But it is actually quite simple. I teach all of that in my online program, Relatable. Okay, if anyone wants to know that, I teach that step by step over 8 weeks in Relatable, and we have group calls and we discuss this and we look at it and we answer questions and we do a deep dive into all of this. It's awesome. So if you ever want to know more about that, that's where I teach this. Okay. Hey, Christine, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Hey, Rose. Yes, Rose is done and is part of Relatable. And I know the changes for you have been life-changing, Rose, haven't they? Rose was a lot like me. We often laugh about that, how similar we have been and are. And there's just something very, very freeing about being comfortable in your own skin. Okay, truly. Okay, so anyone have a question about what I've said, post it below. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next question. I think I've probably got time for one more question today. Okay, give me a second, guys. I'm just going to go back to where that question was. Okay. Hi, Fiona. I have to admit, I'm skeptical that anything or anyone can help with my marriage or my relationship with my in-laws. My husband and I are separating and he leaves tomorrow. Ironic, I would find you on Facebook this morning. Okay. I guess the one thing you might be able to do for me right now is to give me some advice on how to get through tonight and the next few days without fighting anymore. Yeah, great question. Great question. How do we stop fighting, right? And, I know that's a question that a lot of you would love to have an answer to. If you are stuck in a cycle where it feels like you have these massive arguments and then everything slows down and it's okay for a little bit, but you know what I mean? You're on eggshells. It feels like you're in a bit of a war zone because you're waiting for the next blow up, and you're totally apprehensive and scared and nervous about that, right? And so you kind of you get through that next one, and each fight takes something out of you. Each blow up feels exhausting. Each blow up just takes more and more and more until, people feel like they're just in survival mode. And this is where relationships end up. And I'm not just talking about intimate relationships. This is, family members, parents and children, in-laws, all of it. We get to a point where we're like, I can't do this anymore. We get so stuck and so exhausted and we've got nothing left. And, if you are in that situation, I really feel for you. I really do. I've been there. I know that feeling. I have absolutely been there. And I was there in my very first relationship. Well, not my first relationship, but the relationship I had with my older boy's dad. I've got 4 children, and I had 2 children with this man. And that was me. Survival mode, broken, exhausted, absolutely walking on eggshells, overthinking everything, terrified to open my mouth, just praying to get through the next hour, the next day without there being a screaming match. That was my life. So I get it. I really want you to know that I've been there. That is why I do what I do. And because of that, now that relationship ended 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, way over actually. I don't even know now. It's a long time ago. But because of that, that is why I do this, and I'm so passionate about that. Because, the help I went to get at the time, I felt so let down by, I felt so devastated by, that I swore to myself when I got back on my feet, I would find a better way. That was like my absolute driving promise. I will find a better way so that nobody has to go through what I just went through. And so that's one of the reasons I feel so passionate about this. And then, lots of hits and misses later over the years as I studied different things. And then I came across what I now teach. And I'm like, I can honestly say, hand over heart, I feel that I have found it. Whatever I was looking for, I found it. And I'm beyond grateful. I truly am. I'm beyond grateful. So how does one stop fighting? Number one, if you are in that cycle where you're fighting with someone, do not speak when you're upset. Just don't. Don't. One of the things we've got to learn how to do is zip it. You've got to understand when you are upset, you are emotionally unintelligent. Okay? You're emotionally unintelligent. And that's not a go at you or anybody else. This is just human nature. When we have upset thinking, when we're upset, we are emotionally unintelligent. Why would you try and talk about something when you have no emotional intelligence? Like, think about it. Yet this is the time when people try and work things out when they have no emotional intelligence. This was life-changing for me because I used to deal with everything when I was upset. I mean, I used to think, well, if I'm upset, you need to know. Otherwise, how do you know that I'm upset unless I'm upset, right? And then I'd wonder why my husband would shut down and not speak to me. This is my current husband. We've been married many, 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 many years. We've been, when I came across this understanding, we were 6.5 years into our marriage and really struggling. Okay, really not in a very good way at all. So the first thing is, do not speak when you're upset. Just don't. Anything that comes out of your mouth is going to be destructive. Your tone is off. You are defensive. You're unable to listen. You're not present. Your mind's going in a million miles an hour. You just don't have access to the resources you need to have a conversation. And you've got to understand that about yourself. Like, you just got to understand that. So if you want to stop fighting, stop speaking. If you've got someone chasing you around the house, yes, Sheila, it's a wonderful program. Yes, Relatable teaches this more in depth. Yeah, we talk about this a lot, okay, till it's so clear and it makes so much sense to you that it just doesn't make sense to do that anymore. That's the easiest way to create change, right? It is very crucial. So you've got to realize, in order to deal with anything when there are differences, you need emotional intelligence. Okay? And we don't always have it. So if you don't have emotional intelligence, don't talk. If you've got someone chasing you around the house saying, talk to me, just calmly say to them, I'm not in the right frame of mind to do this with you. Okay? I'm just not in the right frame of mind. I will talk to you, but I can't right now. I'm not in the right frame of mind. You'd be amazed at how much people will understand that. Rose, I'm grateful for the insights I gained from the program. Learning to zip it was a game changer for me in my relationship. Me too, Rose, right? Learning to zip it. Really, it can be really quite tricky. But when you learn this, when you understand it, when you see it, it's the best on so many levels. So you want to stop fighting? Rule number 1, zip it. Don't speak when you're upset. You don't have the emotional intelligence. You need to know when you have emotional intelligence and when you don't, right? And you learn to only speak when you have emotional intelligence, which completely transforms the energy that you show up with. It transforms the connection that you create. It creates goodwill. You don't lose anything in doing that. And in fact, you feel so good about you because you're actually showing up the way you have always wanted to, with clarity, calm, understanding, expansiveness, wisdom, curiosity, connection. I know these are things that matter to people because I talk to people about this stuff every single day. And I'm yet to meet someone where that doesn't truly matter to them. Truly, this is what drives us all. This is what we want. We think we can't do it. Everyone is capable of this. Everyone. Why? Because we all operate the same way. This is why the great thing about this, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, what religion you are, what culture you come from, your age, your education background, your wealth. It's irrelevant. This applies to everybody because it's just true for us all. So it's very calming, okay? So you want to stop fighting? Don't talk when you have no emotional intelligence. Zip it when you're upset. Wait for your mind to settle. Very, very important. And in fact, I've had a few people who've joined Relatable recently say to me, oh my goodness, Fiona, you know that saying, don't go to bed on an argument? What a dumb saying that is. And I'm like, yep. Because they were like, I used to take that to heart. Don't go to bed on an argument. So I would try and talk things out when really I had no emotional intelligence. Yep. You're far better wait to sleep on it. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Peter. Hey, Peter. Hi, Fiona. Just dropped in to say hello. If I can say one thing to people thinking of doing your course, make sure they go in with an open mind and willing to listen. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you go into an open mind, you'll absolutely love it. It'll blow you away. I know. And Peter was someone who came in with an open mind. And you've had an amazing experience, haven't you, Peter? Yeah, 12 months on, and I'm so different. Thank you. Awesome. You're welcome, Peter. So lovely. You're welcome. This is what Peter's been. And these are just some of the things that people say. I'm not asking people to share this stuff, guys. I'm not. I don't even ask these guys to show up on the live calls, but this is what some of these guys are saying. What does the course entail? Liz, the course has 8 modules that it gets drip fed to you over 8 weeks. And module 1 will change the way you see everything. So it doesn't take you ages to kind of see change. You will see change very quickly from the first module. Sheila's saying I'm coming on to a year, and I agree. So it's an 8-week program, so it's drip fed every 7 days over 8 weeks. But you can come back and watch the material again and again. You get access to it for 12 months. And over those 12 months, I run 2 live calls every week. I mean, sometimes if something clashes, I won't run a live call, but generally I run them 2 a week so that they are available for both different time zones. So I've got, Sheila and Rose, for example, are in the States. I know Peter's in Queensland. So people are in different time zones. So I run the calls on a Monday morning at 10 a.m. and on a Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. so that depending on where you are in the world, I've got UK students, so they can jump on as well. And that's where you can ask questions. We all get on Zoom together and we talk, and we have these really quite extraordinary and profound conversations around this understanding, around the way things work. I answer a ton of questions on different situations people are in, and we go to a deeper level than I'm able to do here, simply because people are learning the understanding along the way. We've got a beautiful community, and yeah, it's just a very, very special place. It's very calming to have this. You'll take this with you for the rest of your life. You'll never forget it. Because when you're learning something that is true for everybody, right? When you're learning something that is true for everybody, it just becomes deeper over time. This is not a technique. This is not a strategy. This is an understanding of how we work. Now, once you understand how something works, you never forget it, right? We understand how the weather works. We don't get so frightened by the weather or the changes in the weather. We just know that's the way the weather is. It's the same thing. When you understand the way the mind works, you stop working against yourself and everybody else, which is what we so innocently do. If anyone's got any more questions, you can always book a time to have a chat with me about the program if you want to know more about it. I'm more than happy to do that. I'll put a link to book a chat with me here. I'm happy to take you through it. I'll put a link to that there. And as always, everybody, if you have a question that you want me to answer for you on these lives, if you have a question for me, please post. You can send me an email and post it in the just say on the subject line, Friday Live Q&A, and I'll make sure I answer it for you next week. Peter's saying, very true, it's now part of my being. Yeah, these things just become a part of who you are. Hey, Tracy, thank you so much. I'm glad the podcasts have helped you. That's awesome. You're very, very welcome, honey. Very, very welcome. All right, everybody, I've got to fly. I hope this has been helpful to you. I'll be here next Friday. You can join at any time, Liz. So I don't open and close it. I like to keep it open so people can join whenever they're ready. But the sooner you join, the sooner you start seeing these amazing changes. Don't overthink it. If something I'm saying is calling to you, reach out and have a chat with me if you wish. And you can ask any of these guys any questions here. They'll answer it. They'll be honest. They'll be honest with you. I'm happy for them to share whatever their experience is. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Ciao. Bye.